Good morning. You are now tuned in to the Elife Power Lunch with Dr. Baruch and Kris Murray. I am your host, Kris Murray, and to my right is the one and only Dr. Baruch. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I am wonderful and excited. This show is all about promoting health, wealth, and knowledge of self in one power-packed hour of inspiration and information. So that makes me excited to be here with you guys and to be sharing this information with our listeners.
Yes, indeed. It's been a good week, hasn't it? It's gotten cold, hasn't it?
It has. I'm wearing a coat, as you can see. Well, you can't see if you're listening on the radio, but if you're watching, you can see I have a coat on.
Not only cold it's cold outside, but we've been checking out the internet, some of our, hot topics.
Yes.
It's kind of cold. It's kind of chilly.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And
what did you find out there, Kris?
Yes, the fact of the matter of this hour is that Dr. Boyce Watkins recently made a post on Facebook in terms of Black women and how they spend their money on weaves or hair or things to improve their appearance. And I can just read just a little snippet of that in case you missed it. Dear Black women who pay for hair care on a regular basis, here's my humble request. It's okay to disagree. We brothers have issues we need to solve as well. And then he goes into financial suggestions of how we can spend our money instead of spending it on the way we looked. And it actually kind of created a little buzz online. And that's what I found interesting because Black women weren't having it. And then from there it sparked an argument between Black women and Black men, and so it completely spiraled out of control, and Dr. Watkins even had to come on and make a video just to ask people to stop attacking each other. That wasn't the point of it. So what do you guys think? Did you see that? Did you see? Did you have a chance?
I definitely checked it out, and it's a conversation that I think I've had many a time, but I know that even when I deal with it from the aspect of health, when I talk about the impact that those chemicals are having on the reproductive organs of women, and they're having their, fibroids and endometriosis and everything else going on, it still is not enough to make them say, I don't want to do this anymore. Although we are seeing a shift. We're seeing more people, more women are now choosing natural. It appears as though, at least here in this area,
right.
I'm seeing more women going natural. What are you seeing?
Right, yeah, definitely. And I think, it's a matter of your priorities. And number one, I don't think there's anything wrong with caring about your appearance or the way you look. That's my thing. I like to dress a certain way, look a certain way. I'm okay with that. But I also don't spend a lot of money on doing that. I've learned tricks of the trade. One of my biggest clients is a hair salon, and so I put myself in a position where I don't have to fork out as much money as other people do. I've never done a weave or anything just because of my own personal thing. I like to, be able to wash my hair as much as possible. And I don't know the science of it. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I guess depending on how much you pay for your weave or whatever. But, I think it just really depends. And the thing for me, when I read this, I wasn't even thinking about it. I saw it on a third-party site that brought my attention to it, and they were very upset in the way they wrote the headline, which is the way you're supposed to write headlines so that it catches people's attention. It definitely grabbed my attention, but when I read it, I missed the beginning where he actually addressed the hair care, and I was getting into the advice that he was giving about how to spend your finances, and I thought there wasn't anything wrong with that. And so, as you guys heard, we do have some other voices here. Let's go ahead and introduce our guests so they can jump in on this hot topic conversation.
Sister Nataki from 365 Black, right?
That's 5 Black, 365.
And Brother Rasafiq from Everything Black. Right. Well, that's you, brother. You represent so much, in the realm of consciousness and culture, and we got some things we're going to be talking today. But before we go into that subject matter, let's dive into what Dr. Boyce Watkins is talking about here. What are your thoughts?
I think that as a society, we have gotten to the point where, this country actually positions people to not want to hear truth in whatever shape, form it comes. You're actually supposed to take pride in not listening to anybody, not having anyone tell you anything. You're just doing your own thing. And that's really antithetical to the way that African communities live and exist. And rather than reacting to, just words, really what should happen is that we should reflect on, is this coming from a place that is intended to be an attack, or is this person trying to share something that could be helpful?
Right.
And if we start from that place of assuming that the person is not trying to harm us, we can take something positive from anything that anyone says. And I think that, we start to digress when we get into all of these things and turn it into a gender issue. There have been a number of prominent black men and women who brought up the healthcare industry concept and the amount of money we spend on it, and it hasn't been, vilified in this way. So I think first and foremost, we need to just step back and say, is there something helpful in this? Is there something I can take away? Is there something that I can do that I can actually have a positive impact on myself, my health, my community, and then, the 24-hour news cycle flash of this kind of starts to fall away.
Well, I think there's something else we need to look at. The integration. We've been integrated into the good and the bad of what America has to offer us. So when I say that, I'm talking about the fact that now all of the salons, of course, or many of the salons, I guess most of the salons that we go to as people of color, are owned by people, or at least operated, or the station that you go to is manned or womaned by a person of color. So now you're impacting their personal economy when you say that we should stop spending this much money on weaves and stop spending this much money on hair care. So now it's kind of tough. It's not as clear. The lines are not as clear. You can't just say, we're going to stop doing this and know that you're only going to impact people that don't like us, but now you're impacting people that are us.
Right.
And that's a tough one.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the things that the commenters brought up. It's like the black hair care industry is one of the only industries that is pretty much predominantly black, as far as stylists and hair salons. And so it's like when he's telling us to see if we can take 50% of that money and go to, somewhere else, it's like, why would we do that? Because it's affecting our community.
Although, and I can definitely appreciate that. But one of the other things that we always need to come back to in our community is accountability. And to the point that Dr. Baruch made, if some of these hair care products, many of which are not black owned or manufactured hair care products, are causing fibroid tumors, are causing all these major health issues, but the practitioners who are using them, who are also negatively affected because they either have it in their hair or they're touching it on a daily basis, inhaling it on a daily basis. We need to think about it from a holistic perspective. And, is there a way that someone can be in the hair care industry? I use several natural hair salons in the area that, one of which, I think it's in Natural Hair Solutions. They use products that are all natural and 100% black owned. So maybe the idea is to shift money away from companies that are doing damage to our communities, doing damage to our health, doing damage to our psychology in terms of feeling like we need to look like someone other than ourselves, and redirect it to black owned businesses still, so we're still keeping the money in the black community. But we're also empowering ourselves at the same time, because I think the bottom line of what he was trying to communicate, maybe it didn't come out very well, but the bottom line of what he was trying to communicate was a message of empowerment through one of the industries that we spend the most money on.
I think it's important that we as African people are concerned about how we look, our appearance, the image that we project to our community and to the world. But I think we can do it non-chemically. I think we can do it naturally and organically. I know the sisters spend a lot of money on their hair, on their weaves, nails, makeup, things of that nature. And I believe, as Alicia Keys just said, she's no longer going to wear makeup anymore. I don't know if that's the case, but she looks natural and vibrant and beautiful without all that goop on her face and hair and so forth. So I think it's important that we encourage our salons and beauty places to use more natural, more organic, more unadulterated products in order to remain healthy and whole, like you said, a holistic approach. I know for the brothers, we're not as fussy about those things, but then again, I think it's important, us to be concerned about how we look. So I know when I grew my locks, folks were saying, are you going to go and have it twisted, or are you going to get a loctician? I just let it grow naturally, like the Rastas do, and I guess it came out okay.
Yeah.
Seem to think that it's cool, right? So no chemicals, just a nice conditioner for the hair that's been made by black hands. So I think that's what I'll
well, let me jump in there, because I think that there are three things that we need to look at. One, yes, I do believe that Dr. Watkins was talking about it from the perspective of an economist. So he's just look at how much money we're spending. Let's figure out how we can do something different with this money. However, I don't think the lines are as clear. Again, like I said earlier, I just don't think we can't just say everybody stop. Because now, okay, Auntie doesn't have a job. So how we gonna deal with that? Okay, well, all that money you saving off them weaves you got, or not getting, now we're gonna help out Auntie get into a new business. And now she's gonna start doing whatever that is, because some people would lose their job, some people would have to change their career, some people are going to make the adjustment to doing something natural. I can tell you, for me, when I stopped getting my hair cut, and this was about 2 years ago now, I stopped cutting my hair. I had feelings for my barber. I was like, dang, man, I'm not giving you that $25 every 2 weeks now.
Right.
And, I'm like, how are you managing without, if enough of us do this, you could be in trouble, So I tried not to celebrate it in his face. I tried to, I just, hey, brother, good to see you. He would come here and come to the restaurant. That's funny. I haven't seen him for a while. But anyway, so I think that's something else. But I want to also talk about the fact that Alicia Keys is probably not the best, although she did what she did, and I think it's great. But Alicia Keys is attractive, and she's organically attractive. She happens to have that little blend that everybody's trying to get, and now, America's going to become this blended, population of people. So she has this blend. So, she might not be the best person. Maybe if Oprah said that, if Oprah said, look, I'm going to stop wearing makeup, and I'm going to just let it go. We'd all be looking at the Oprah show. We'd be like, man, Oprah, you going hard.
We remember her in Color Purple.
Right. Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what I just thought about. That's the image that came in my mind.
Harpo?
Yes.
But, I think, it goes back to psychology. One of our strategic partners with Let's Buy Black 365 is the National Association of Black Psychologists. And, we have to acknowledge, how are we defining beauty? How are we defining our standard of beauty? What is beautiful? And part of the problem is, if we're defining certain people as beautiful and certain people as unattractive, then you cause the whole psychology that affects, most of economics and consumer psychology is all based on making you feel like you are inadequate based on who you are and what you are. So I'm inadequate, so I have to buy these clothes to make myself feel better. I have to do certain things to my hair. I have to wear certain makeup. I have to drive certain cars or wear certain shoes. And, we're not going to resolve that in one fell swoop, but it is very, very important, if you are concerned with economics and the state of the Black community, to first do a personal self-assessment. We tend to think that all of our decisions are just free will, and really don't understand the impact that all of this has. It's usually not just, this is my choice, this is what I want to wear, this is the style that I happen to like for my hair. There's some type of deeper psychology around that, and recognizing that and starting with that will ultimately affect all of your spending habits. And again, to take it back to the Boyce Watkins comment, I think it's really important that you brought out that he's addressing this as an economist. Right. And people tend to dichotomize these issues. It's either this or that. But it could be, we are spending this money on something that is not empowering our people, it's not helping our people, it's not saving our people, it's not doing anything in any significant, meaningful way. What if we redirected some of it in a way that is empowering people. Because if we as a people get further empowered, then that doesn't hurt the single salon stylist who's struggling. It actually makes more opportunities for people. And so we need to look at more, I guess, from a more big picture standpoint of how when we all rise, when we rise, we all rise together, rather than thinking of it from the hustler mentality of so-and-so's got to get by and eat by on these little amounts.
Right. And there are just so many layers to this. So it's like we almost have to be careful when we attack it, because we have to consider all of those angles. And for me, it's like so many things pop up in my mind, and I imagine one episode of what is the name of that show? It's some show I was watching.
Some reality show, right?
Yeah, no, fake reality show. No, I don't watch those.
Okay.
But it was a HBO series, and there came up to be an argument, and I bring this up because it's like we have to be careful when we talk about beauty, especially in terms of the Black woman, because we're so fragile because of that, because we get attacked so much from so many different people. Our men, our sisters, and then the outsiders are even worse. So it's like we get attacked from all angles. So we were watching this episode of the show, and I hope the name of it comes to me, but it's about this African American athlete who makes it, and then he brings all his family to Tina Arnold's. And you guys know what I'm talking about? No. Okay, it'll come to me. Anyway, the wife of the basketball. Okay, the wife of the basketball player's cousin is the agent, and she organizes this photo shoot. And for this photo shoot, she has a specific vision for what she wants to do. And the model that she wants is a brown skin or darker skin African American black lady. But something happens with the scheduling of it, and they find a fill-in without telling her. So when she gets to the set of the photo shoot, there's a light-skinned Black woman there, and she goes off, and she's upset, and she ends up, firing the light-skinned lady and finding another darker-skinned lady. And I was emotional about it because I'm, on the darker side of the scheme, the color scheme, and my husband couldn't understand it, and we're about the same complexion. He's like a hair lighter than me, but he couldn't understand it, and I was like, okay, that's cool. But he was like, well, is it really that big of a deal? It's not fair that the light-skinned woman got fired just because she was light-skinned. And it's like, it creates this whole thing. And the reason I bring that up is because I was very passionate about it, because number one, like I said, I felt like, the brown-skinned sister should have got a chance, even though it was a business thing that caused the complication. If that woman had a specific vision for it, if she wanted to give the platform to a darker-skinned woman because of what we go through, I thought that was okay, because it was her vision. It wasn't specifically, I don't like you because you're light-skinned. It wasn't that. She had a specific vision. She had a specific reason that she wanted the brown-skinned lady there, so that other brown-skinned women, little brown-skinned girls, could see themselves, unlike we do in most cases.
And if I could jump in really quick, again, that whole concept of the colorisms, all still goes back to psychology. It's funny because people are like, you must be a psychologist, but no, it's understanding that virtually everything that we do in this country, and everything that we are not doing, all stem back to psychology and economics. Those are the two undergirding things. But even within that story, I used to moderate a sister circle, Black women getting together, talking about different things that we face as Black women, and looking back at this whole concept of where we're spending money on physical things, reminded me of a sister circle specifically about makeup and hair. Okay. And there were several of us who don't wear makeup. I've never worn makeup. Have natural hair, and we were talking about men and dating and all these different kinds of things. And the reality is, certain people said that certain sisters in the group were attractive, and certain other sisters in the group were not attractive, and it's interesting that all of us thought we weren't attractive. So every sister, so you talk about self-esteem, and or not even self-esteem, but how the society characterizes you. One sister literally was a model, and she still thought she was unattractive. She was like, well, they can airbrush and they can do different things. So but the point of me even sharing this story is, we boiled it down to, and again, we're gauging our physical attractiveness on men and how they see us. And what it ultimately came down to, in terms of actually being approached by, not just whistled at on the street, but actually being approached by men.
That's another topic for another show.
What it came down to, and in terms of interest, were that regardless of physical appearance, regardless of makeup, hair, any of that, the sisters who seemed to be more attractive to men were those who had inner beauty.
Yes.
And if we get back to that, and we understand that, then we will shift our economics around this whole healthcare industry, because we'll stop focusing on the outward and we'll be more focused on the inward.
Yeah. So that means we need to stop looking at television, maybe, because of course television gives us this illusion that it's the outer beauty that we should all be looking at. And I wanted to respond to Rasafik that we've got, the woman who comes in with the weave and with the tight dress and with the high heels and with the eyelashes, she still tends to get more of our attention than the granola crunchy sister, right? I use that, I just say that, but but it's the granola crunchy sister that you realize that I have more potential, at least for me myself. There's more potential for me in the granola crunchy sis than me and Miss Flamboyant, flashy, all of that.
But that's the issue right there. Like, not to cut you off, but that's the issue right there, because you're already basing what you think and what you like and what you know off of a split second.
Yeah, it is.
Like, how do you know I eat granola? Yeah, my hair is natural, but I'm allergic to granola. I don't know, something like that.
It's
It's like, you don't
it's
know.
An expression. It's an expression.
Yeah, I got you.
But I wanted to say another thing. When I was in Tanzania, there were 3 women that worked in the house that I stayed in. And the 3 women, one of them was a cook, one of them cleaned the house, and the other was, I don't remember specifically what her title was. But in any event, I was talking to the guys out front, and all of the women look very similar. I don't know that it's across the board that all Tanzanian women look very similar, but the women look very similar. And I said, y'all tell me something, which one of those women, would you all, do you think is really attractive? And I knew that whatever they said was not going to work in America, in the American mind of what we think is attractive here after our conditioning. So I was prepared, like, okay, which one? So they said, which one? And I said, oh, okay, great. And which one would you marry? And they said, the same one. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting, because she had some American defects. She had some things that
American defects.
Wow.
Oh, that wouldn't work in America. But I said, wow, you all are closer to something that makes sense, because you're building on a concept that's going to move you as a person and us as a community and a nation of people forward. And it was really interesting. But we got some other stuff we need to talk about, because y'all here to talk about something else.
And I was going to say, that's a perfect segue, because the psychology, the economics, the whole self-esteem and how we view ourselves connects to Kwanzaa and why Kwanzaa was even started 50 years ago. And so when we look at all of the principles of Kwanzaa, it actually helps us to shift our values from these Eurocentric values that actually skew and distort and really kind of adulterate our opinion of ourselves to one that is actually about, embracing our traditional African heritage, embracing our inner beauty and our collective strengths as a people. So, I think this is a good segue.
Yes, indeed. Brother Rasafik, what we got going on for Kwanzaa week?
All right, brother. Yeah, we got a lot going on. We have our beautiful Kwanzaa calendar, which came out last week. And we're really digging on it, Let's show folks a copy of it. Very colorful, very creative.
Can you turn it this way?
Turn it this
way. Is it turning this way to the camera?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We got multiple cameras. We got multiple networks going on in here today.
Doing big here.
And this is a calendar, so resource guide and calendar, and it also has an African marketplace. Very comprehensive, and we're really proud of it. This was produced by the United Black Community Kwanzaa Planning Committee. And of course, each year we organize Kwanzaa. We set up the schedule. Kwanzaa is a time when we come together to celebrate our culture, ourselves. It's an ingathering of the people. It's also about spirituality and faith and love for the creation and for the Creator. It's a recommitment, reaffirmation, and refocusing on ourselves as a people as we look at what we've accomplished during the past year and then move forward to the next year. So it's a celebration of all that is good and positive, beneficial, and divine in the universe. So we're excited about Kwanzaa and all the activities that take place during the Kwanzaa week. So we can talk about sort of the history of Kwanzaa, the purpose of Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa was started in 1966 by Dr. Malana Karenga. It's a celebration of the African harvest, which took place in Africa. For us here in America, we look at our work and what we've accomplished during the course of the year. And it's based upon the Nguzo Saba, or the 7 principles of blackness. These are principles that basically set the tone for how we conduct ourselves as a people. And those principles are Umoja, which means unity, Kujichagulia, which means self-determination, Ujima, collective work and responsibility, Ujima, cooperative economics, Nia, purpose, Kuumba, creativity, and Imani, faith. And we encourage people to not only celebrate, practice these principles during Kwanzaa, but throughout the year, throughout our entire lives, because it's really a time for us to bring our people together. Obviously, we're faced with trials and tribulations every day. We've got to raise our families. We've got to provide for our community. So we ask our people to work together and to not only revolutionize the spirit, but spiritualize the revolution, because Kwanzaa is a political and cultural expression to continue our struggle for black liberation. So it's a very serious time, but it's also a festive time. So we come up with a balance, we come up with an approach to life that allows us to celebrate ourselves, but also to focus on that which is important and significant in our overall growth and development. So we're absolutely happy about how things are moving at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have the honor of being able to say I've celebrated Kwanzaa my whole life, and my parents are from New York and came out of that East community that embraced Kwanzaa in the years or so after it was formulated. And one of the things that I think people misunderstand about Kwanzaa is that they think that it's just a 7-day celebration. So I'm really excited that you talked about that, because Kwanzaa is really, one would argue that in order to really be able to celebrate the fruits of what you did, you actually need to begin celebrating Kwanzaa on January 1st, and that's actually why it's structured that way. So in order to celebrate Kwanzaa at the end of the year on January 1st, and every day leading up to Kwanzaa, you should be able to look at, what am I doing to show unity in my community? What am I doing to show self-determination? Am I looking at these commercials and different things to tell me what my standard of beauty is? Or am I doing something to define myself? What am I doing around cooperative economics? And so, for me and for, other people all over the country, and now Kwanzaa is being celebrated all over the world, even though it is a uniquely African in America holiday. It's actually an opportunity to really gauge yourself, gauge your life, gauge your interactions with people who look like you on a daily basis and a weekly basis, where you can reflect and say, wow, I participated in this event here at Elife Media, and that's a show of cooperative economics, collective work and responsibility. Black media is self-determination, so it's Kujichagulia, it's faith, it's all these different kinds of things. And so really it's a way to almost have this black barometer of engagement on a daily basis, and it's really exciting when you think about it in that context, that it's not all about struggle and sacrifice. It's really a way to hold yourself to a standard and engage with people who look like you in a really, really meaningful way throughout the year, so that when it comes to December 26th, you are in fact celebrating the fruits of your labor throughout the year, and not just coming together for the parts that we do, like the candle lighting ceremonies and the gifts and the in the gatherings, but we're actually gathering to celebrate the actual achievements that we have.
Right, right. And if I can be completely honest, I don't know a lot about Kwanzaa. Like, of course, I've heard of it, on TV, they try to be politically correct, so they'll say happy holidays, and then the next commercial break, they'll say happy Kwanzaa. But just from hearing what you described right now, I'm already loving, I'm already, thinking I need to do some more research and learn about this, because that's what Dr. Baruch and I have been talking about, and just two things: being educated and really understanding ourselves and knowing self-worth, as far as being, African American or Black, and men or women, and also in taking action, not just once, not just saying something for social media like the song says, or just putting up a show, but actually living that. We're not just celebrating a holiday for a week. We're living that throughout the year, and at the end of the year, we get to reflect on that.
Right.
I love that.
Right, right.
I would say it goes back to our conversation earlier about the superficial and that granola crunchy. The granola crunchy has a negative connotation only because we don't think about it positively, except for those of us who like granola crunchy, right? Like Rasafik and myself. But yes, indeed. But I think we're seeing how these parallels exist. So there are these parallel universes that we are interacting with, and we see the commercialization of what used to be, probably a really good family practice of sharing gifts during the winter time for Europeans here in the United States of America, that's now been over commercialized, and now it's all kinds of everything. Everything from Black Friday starts at the beginning of November towards the end of October, all the way through to January. It's Black Friday savings, all the crazy, and you can't help but see the word black and wonder, well, what does that have to do with me? Even though I don't necessarily relate to the word black as being the definition of me, but it's all a part of this whole psychosis and this psychology, like you were talking about earlier. But the granola crunchy side of that, the Kwanzaa side of that, you really get into some principles that really make sense and can hold you in a space where it's like, I can see how I can put this to work, for myself and my family for the rest of the year, as opposed to just doing it for a day and then I spend the next 2-3 months being broke, is I don't know what, trying to climb out of it, telling myself again, I'm not gonna do this again.
Right.
And here it is, I find myself having done this again, So it's definitely some education that needs to take place, and I think the work that you're doing with regard to the education is key. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the Kwanzaa calendar. Brother Razafiq, I think you've got probably some specific things that are going on that you might want to share.
Yes, indeed. Now, our theme this year is Ujima, or collective working responsibility, one of the principles, of course. And we encourage folks to work together to have a meeting of the minds. Very often we sometimes have these disagreements, right? And we have to learn how to work through them. We agree to disagree, or sometimes we get into these little cliques and one group doesn't want to work with another group. Well, we're saying we have to do it collectively. We have to do it in a manner where we shows love and respect.
And we could be excited about doing it. You sound so subdued, as if it's.
I'm sorry.
But no. But I mean, just the excitement of in the times that we're living in, and all of these things that are attacking the Black community. The idea of living in Ujima is really, really an exciting opportunity that especially has the potential for intergenerational connectivity. So we look at elders and young people, and sometimes we're disconnected. But when we look at the possibility of Ujima and the fact that the Kwanzaa calendar has this theme of Ujima, it's really an opportunity to go into a new year, 2017, with this exciting personal and collective commitment to how we're going to work together. And I know some of the Kwanzaa programs are even structured in such a way that there is intergenerational cooperation to even create some of the programs. Can you share some of those programs?
No question. A lot of people, as a result of this recent election, feeling a little gloom and doom, But I think we certainly need to move beyond that. We're going to continue doing what we do in the community, and we're going to continue to make these concepts available to our people, especially young people. We want to embrace them and point them in the right direction. So Kwanzaa is 7 days, starts on December the 26th, and each day represents one of the principles. So the first day of Kwanzaa is Umoja, which means unity. Monday, December the 26th, we're going to have the annual Umoja candlelighting ceremony and celebration by L.C. Pan at Four Walls Educational Center, 1125 Neal Street Northeast in Washington, D.C. And that particular program is going to start at 6. And for information, you can call 202-526-4039 or 202-529-3635. There's also going to be a program by the African Heritage Dancers and Drummers. They have an annual Kwanzaa celebration with the local Ethiopian community,
Oh, wow.
Jenna, at
That's
Imani
exciting.
Temple, 2420 Brooks Drive in Suitland, Maryland. Their program is going to start at 7 and run until about 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Second day of Kwanzaa, Kuji Chocolate Self-Determination, Tuesday, December 27th. Kuji Chocolate Live with Culture Queen Jessica Smith. This is a sister who,
Culture Queen, I love her.
you know her?
Yes.
Yeah, she used to dance with Black Notes, and she's just a beautiful sister.
We love Black Notes.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
And where can we? Because we're not gonna have time to go through every day.
Okay.
So what would be a place that we can all go and find out more information on the calendar? Is there a website? Is there someplace? Well, of course, you can get a calendar
Yes.
from Everlasting Life,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
as well as other places.
Used to come in and get some food.
There it
get you
is.
some- I was
185.
eyeballing the cakes on the way in.
Yes.
Oh yeah, calendars are available in many of our outlets throughout the city. Georgia Avenue, we got Sankofa and Blue Nile and New Vegan. Of course, out here we got Everlasting Life. We've got Secrets of Nature over in the Northeast. We got Kepler's Raw Food.
And so the Kwanzaa calendar actually lives out its purpose in that it's the calendar of Kwanzaa events, but then it also has the marketplace with Black-owned businesses, and the place to find the calendar is within the same Black-owned businesses that we should be going to all the time. So our
Absolutely.
bookstores, our restaurants, our institutions, our educational centers. It's really, it's exactly what it's supposed to be.
And is it online? Is the whole book online?
Facebook, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Facebook, DC Kwanzaa Planning Committee. You can get the whole calendar and all the other information online. Absolutely.
Excellent.
And I
excellent.
want to point out one thing. We've set up these flash mobs this year where people can go to certain businesses and shop. So, on Umoja, we'll be at DC's Boutique over in Mount Rainier, Sinbad Vegan Cafe on Kuji Chocolate, Everlasting Life with Jima, right here on Central Avenue.
Yes.
Nia, Secrets of Nature out of Northeast,
Mm-hmm.
Kaumba Gallery Africa over in Atlanta, Maryland, and Imani will be at Kepler's Raw Foods at Fort
Great.
H.
Great.
So, we encourage not only culture, but holistic health, exercise, meditation. All these things make us whole as people.
Yes,
right?
indeed.
As African people. So this is what we need to do in order to rise to the occasion and
Right.
move forward into the future.
So we can celebrate ourselves, we can celebrate Black businesses, we can celebrate cooperative economics, we can celebrate every single principle of Kwanzaa using the Kwanzaa calendar, using engaging with the businesses that are there, coming in to get your again, I'm eyeballing those cakes and some of the food here at Everlasting Life. So it's just really an exciting time. You said some people are feeling the gloom and doom in the post-election environment, but for a lot of us who've been in this movement and working for Black liberation for most of our lives, if not all of our lives, it's really exciting that there's so many of us who are waking up and looking out for resources. To hear Sister Kris say, well, I didn't know much about Kwanzaa before, but now I want to learn and now I want to get involved. This is really, really an exciting time, and it's really an invitation for those who are hearing this and are excited and want to get involved and want to know more to do that. So I'm excited. I'm encouraged. Definitely want everybody to get one of the Kwanzaa calendars, and I'm
Yes.
looking forward to seeing people at the Kwanzaa
Yes,
events.
yes, definitely.
And also want to, the whole concept behind Let's Buy Black 365 is echoed in some of what we talked about here today. It's not about just once, one-time engagements. It's about how each day of the year and 365 days or 366 in leap year,
Right.
we are engaged in things that are helping us be better people individually, helping us be better people collectively, and helping us rise together.
Right.
And so the whole Let's Buy Black 365 movement is really around giving people a mechanism to do that kind of engagement on a daily basis throughout the year. And so I did want to invite people, if you're interested in learning more about the movement, it's a national movement focused not just on Black businesses, goods, and services. It's actually focused on Black institutions, Black media. You talked about turning off the TV
Yes.
and all these kinds of things, but there's always a shift. So yes, we need to stop paying attention to or stop relying on other people's media, other people's social networks, other people's information to give us power, and we need to turn to Black media, which is an incredible source of our power and recalibration. So wanted to invite you, if you've got a pen and paper or if you already have your smartphone out, you can actually text to join for more information, and you can download the app, which includes a national resource for Black businesses, institutions, media. You can find Elife media there in the app and tune into different programs. You can find events, you can find all kinds of resources, and you can text for more information 505 652 2365. And I'll say that number again, but it ends up spelling out, if you look at the letters on the keys on your phone, it ends up spelling out 50 LBB 365. And again, that's 505 652 2365, and you'll get more information about the Let's Buy Black 365 movement, how you can get, news and information and resources and products and services, and engage with other people who are really excited about working together and making a national shift in the way we engage together.
Right, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Guys, make sure you go and check out all of those links. Make sure you subscribe to that text so that you can get connected and get the information. I know I'm going to get online and do my research on Kwanzaa so I can get educated and I can get hip to the game and I can connect and do my year thing. So at the end of the year, it's a party and I actually have something positive to celebrate.
Exactly. Exactly.
Again, we want to thank you both for
Yes.
coming on board
Thank
with
you for
us.
inviting us and having us.
And we look forward to a great week and great year.
That's
Yes,
right.
indeed.
That's right.
Celebrate Kwanzaa. And of course, we got to mention this is the 50th year
Yes.
okay.
of Kwanzaa, so that's a milestone right there that we should all be appreciative of.
Great,
Yes.
great,
It's not dishonor.
great.
Definitely.
Thank you.
We want to
you.
thank our listeners as well for tuning in. Don't forget, this Saturday we have the Solstice Shopping Bazaar. If you need to do last minute holiday shopping, this is the place to be. Everlasting Vegan Restaurant, 9185 Central Avenue. We'll be here. Bring your friends, bring your family, and support. It's all about supporting and coming out, not just talking, but doing. Also, we have tomorrow night a very, very special event, the Health, Wealth, and Knowledge of Self, hosted by Dr. Baruch and friends. And I have the pleasure of being the presenter this week. I'm going to be going in, we're going to be talking about finances and how not to work without getting paid. A lot of times we're working and we're not getting paid. We can't do that in 2017, so I have some strategies to help you out with that. Also, in just a minute, we're going to have part 2 of our show. Angela Thorpe of John Adore Health Essentials is here, and she's going to be sharing with us some helpful information about foot detox and how it can change your life. You don't want to miss that, so stick around. We're going to be going live once again with the E. Lauer Power Lunch with Dr. Baruch and Kris Murray. We'll see you then.